So this video will teach us how to complete a quadratic table. Quadratic is simply a vocabulary word that means that you have a power of 2. So when we complete a table, we basically substitute in the value that they give us into the variable. So that is a negative s, so we're going to write in a negative, that means negative 1, because there's an understood 1 there. In place of the parentheses, in place of the variable, we're going to put a parentheses and then a square. Negative 1, parentheses, square. Negative 1, parentheses, square. Negative 1, parentheses, squared. So now I will go in and replace where the variable was with the number. So I'm going to put in negative 2, put in a 0, put in a 2, and put in a 4. Now, if I'm using a calculator, I need to make sure I put negative 2 inside parentheses so the calculator will compute it correctly. Otherwise, doing it by hand, a negative 2 squared is a positive 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 0 squared is 0 times negative 1 is 0. 2 squared is 4 times 1 is negative 4. 4 times 2 is 16 times 1 is a negative 16. Now, you need to know that quadratics have symmetry. Symmetry means that there's going to be two y's that end up being the same value, and that is symmetry. And then, if you remember from the other day's lesson, 0 is the vertex because it is the number that's in between the symmetry. All right, let's look at the second table. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. Put a parentheses where the variable used to be. So that's going to be a parentheses squared plus 5. A parentheses squared plus 5. A parentheses squared plus 5. And a parentheses squared plus 5. So inside the parentheses, I put a negative 1, a 0, a 1, and a 2. So negative 1 squared is 1. Plus 5 is 6. 0 squared is 0. Plus 5 is 5. 1 squared is 1. Plus 5 is 6. 2 squared is 4. Plus 5 is 9. And there again, you're looking at that symmetry where the two y's that are the same and the vertex is in the middle. So, in the next problem, we have two variables, so we're going to write two parentheses and write down that number twice. So we have a parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses. Inside those parentheses, we're going to write down the value of the variable. So we've got a negative 3, a negative 2, negative 1, and a 0. So we have negative 3 squared, which is 9. We have 5 times negative 3, which is a negative 15. And negative 15 minus 9, or 9 minus 15, is a negative 6. That's a positive 4 minus 10, which is a negative 6. That is positive 1 minus 5, which is a negative 4. And 0 and 0 make a 0. And there is our symmetry. So the last problem is a trinomial. And so we will write negative 2, parentheses, squared minus 8, parentheses, minus 7. Everywhere there was an h, I put a parentheses. We write in the problem so that where there was a variable, there is now a parentheses. Now I'm going to put my parentheses in and put in a negative 9 for my variable, negative 7 for my variable, negative 5 for my variable, negative 3 for my variable. Now, I would highly recommend a problem this complex that we use a calculator. So, using the little calculator, then that would become -2 parentheses -9 close parentheses squared subtract 8 parentheses -9 parentheses minus 7. This would be a good time to talk about how that if the number is negative, that's -9, so you use the negative key. This is a subtraction sign, so you use the subtraction sign. And you make sure you keep those correct in the calculator so that it does it correctly. And that is a -97. Now, a great function of this calculator is that you can go up and edit. So if you use the up toggle twice, then we can go in and replace the -9 with just make the 9 become a 7. So we don't have to retype in all the information, and that gives us a -49. Now, if you're using the TI-84, then I would recommend you go to y equals 2, and then we can put in -2x squared. Now, the calculator is going to use the x. The problem says h. It's all the same. Minus 8x minus 7. Then if we do a second graph, it takes us to a table. And we just have to go down to -5. And we see the answer is -17. And then we need to find a -3. And -3, the answer is -1. So that is how you complete a table with quadratics. So yeah.